Olympia noch ganz lassen. Ne?
So we're in good warm-up.
Track is clear for the third spur runner. 5 minutes to the start of the 4-man race, heat 1. 5 minuti alla partenza. Bob in pista, Bob on track.
Bene, bene.
Le montagne così.
Non basta più.
welcome to Cortina d'Ampezzo. We're in the Dolomites in the venue for the 1956 and 2026 Winter Olympic Games. Hello everybody, welcome back to the final day of sliding here in stunning Cortina at the Pista Olimpica Eugenio Monti. It's four-man day, the Königsklasse, the blue ribboned event, 31 sleds on the line. Martin Haven and John Morgan here to talk you through the action. And John, this track has already shown it's going to be tough work to get medals on.
Well, the track's very entertaining, Martin, as we know, especially the top of the track. Some of the athletes are calling it, up here in this section, the dream snatcher, because it just takes your dreams away in the first 2 or 3 corners. And the ice conditions have been spectacular. It's a little colder today, so the four-mans, they didn't practice in this type of weather earlier in the week. I think we're going to see some interesting lines.
Built on the base of and in the spirit of the old track, maybe not quite as rough, tough and bad to know, but with the old corner names coming in as well. So much history here, sliding over a century in Cortina, and it's great to see that kept alive.
Martin, the last time I did commentary on this track was with you. I think it was in 2008. That was a long time ago, but it's a pleasure to be here. This is a historic venue.
And I think between hosting Winter Games 70 years after the first time, it's probably the biggest gap for anywhere in Olympic history. Well, a dusting of snow, not just high in the mountains, but around town, has really transformed this place into a winter wonderland. Temperatures now just crept above freezing, but the ice temperature was -7 this morning, still hovering around -5. There in the beanie, with his face towards us, Johannes Lochner, yesterday's two-man winner. Francesco Friedrich wasn't quite convinced that the sled was up to it yesterday. Lara Nolte just won the women's race by 77 hundredths of a second in that sled. So Francesco seems like he may not have his head entirely around this place, but Lochner yesterday looked like he was back home in Berchtesgaden. He just flew.
Yeah, he had a convincing lead at the bottom, and I think he made a statement that this might be his season.
Yeah, he is certainly starting the way he wants to come back and finish it off in February. But Francesco Friedrich and his crew are always going to be tough to beat. Double Olympic champion in both disciplines, Friedrich. So he's never easy to count out. 31 sleds in the field. And we start with a brand new driver. 19-year-old rookie from Latvia has the honor of getting us underway. So he will start his World Cup career with a start record and a track record. And as we move further down the order, we've got Johannes Lochner, we've got Brad Hall, Francesco Friedrich, Mickey Vokes, the Italians, Patrick Baumgartner, lots of talent from the US, from Canada, Switzerland, and a host of other nations. The Chinese looking strong here as well. And at the end of the field, Andrei Turea of Romania will round out the first heat. Race 1 of the four-man Bobsleigh World Cup. We are back in Cortina d'Ampezzo after a 17-year absence. And we start with the raw rookie, Renus Grautins, new to the program, makes his World Cup debut, but he has 3 legends of Latvian bobsled pushing him. Let's see what the track record is. 485.
Yeah, in and down. He's our rabbit. I mean, it's appropriate that we have a guy who's never competed in a four-man World Cup. Let's see what he does. I don't think these four-mans are going to bounce around up here like we saw with the two-mans, and especially the monos. As soon as I say that, they have a little crash in the exit of 4.
Yeah, out of the labyrinth and heading down into Belvedere and Bandion. 2 of the legendary corners from the old track. All the old track names being reused. New one there, K2, that little left-hand kink rather, and into Antelau and Cristallo.
Look at these big sport utilities fly. There's a tap there, it's costly. You know, this is first guy down, but the track's very safe track. Very tough track to get down fast. 55, 59. Martin looking at that time there. What will be the Olympic gold medal time? Maybe low 54s?
I would think, yeah.
By the time they get the ice figured out?
Probably into 53s. That is quicker than they were going in training, for sure. Last training run for the four men was on Thursday, and temperatures then were in plus region.
Look at these compelling pictures. Little tap there. We're going to see a lot of that, but he tapped and then kept the skid going. Look at the back end here. You know, this is it, the maximum speed, and even a tap like that can erase the time.
Well, good to see Latvia bringing in the new drivers. Just talking to Martin Krantz's dad from Liechtenstein a moment or two ago at the coffee truck. And he said the boys are really looking forward to this season. Lawrence Lenher, his regular two-man brakeman behind him. Then Tim Kessler and David Schoffen. So this foursome have been together for a couple of years now, and Krantz is definitely improving his driving. Could do with some new shoes, mind.
22nd in World Cup points last year. His best finish was a 15th in Altenburg. So if you can drive the Altenburg track, you should be able to drive this one. But this one's tricky and it's new. There's so many terms that the athletes describe. It's slippery, it's tricky, it's challenging. Look at that, look at the skid. It throws that four-man in like that.
Yeah, that's out of the first corner of the labyrinth. We're going to see a lot of skids. It's a long wheelbase on this four-man sled. Hard to get off some of these corners. Out of Bandion into K2. There you're going over the brow and diving down towards Antelau here and Cristallo. So skids are very easy.
He's coming back a little bit, 22-17. He's down to 7. He might be running out of track, but this is going to be close. This could be right to the 100th of a second.
1400s behind at the start and 100th in front.
You can pick up time on the bottom part of this track. We've seen it in all of the other disciplines.
Yeah, you can lose so much in the first four corners, but if you're clean down the bottom, you can keep that speed alive.
100th of a second. He was down by 22 at the halfway point. But, you know, obviously he's got a little experience, Martin, and I like the way he's sitting in the sled. His eyes are barely above the cowling. Lost some critical time there, though, in that skid.
Yeah, that's that little uphill section. It drops down. Yeah, it's very easy to get sideways through the chicane.
His father's happy with that.
Next up for Italy, the first of three Italian sleds, Mattia Variola. Alex Pagnini has started driving, but is back in the sled here. Mauro Lombrughi on the back, made his two-man World Cup debut yesterday. This is his four-man debut. Variola finished 29th in the two-man yesterday. Did not have a good time on the track.
'24th in World Cup points last season. Best finish of the year. 14th in Altenburg. Look at that nice cohesion there, getting down. 494, second best start. Now, he's got more trips down the track than anybody else, but not that many more. Because the Italians, you know, last year in April, what kind of track conditions were they working with when they did get, I would say, 10 or 15 trips after the homologation last year.
Yeah, at end of the season, they had a few days slow. Oh, and he's gone very early in the run. We saw this in the women's competition earlier. A crash very high up.
Martin right into the middle of the curve caused me to go out. You sort of know, but boy, stay in the sleds, guys. That's the...
Easier said than done when you're doing 60 miles an hour.
Especially the driver can't hold himself in. The brakeman, of course, can hold themselves in. And so you see the driver's helmet out there. And, you know, I was asking Dr. Byrne about, you know, they want to stop him up here. No, the rule is let him go roll back. Stay in the sled. Now, if these guys, this is where they're worried about people getting hurt, right here. Well, they stopped it.
They want to stop the sled so it doesn't roll backwards. And those hooks reminiscent of the old track, John, coming up the finishing straight, they were lined all the way.
Here it is. Look, it comes down too early. Centrifugal force. This is where the lights go out. And and the team.
Yeah, exactly as we saw with one of our Chinese pairs in the women's race this morning. Just got onto the corner way too late and couldn't haul it off.
And Martin, that is a long ways down when you tip over up top like that. Frank Del Duca did that in the second day of training in the training week. Looks like they're up though. Yeah.
Boys are out of the sled. Mandatory burns vests now for all of our sliders, so that helps with not burning the skin off your shoulders.
Look at the view, huh?
I mean, this place is, as it always was, just spectacular.
There's the camaraderie amongst the teammates.
I think that's Mattia with his helmet off. Yeah, it is. Just
upset.
The boys are going, it happens. He's upset. He's distraught, not just for the race, but because you put, you know, your teammates' lives in jeopardy potentially. So he's absolutely gutted, and they're just going, come on, it happens. We'll get back on. We'll race again in Innsbruck next week. And then, you know, that's the nature of ice sliding. It is, you know, you look at ice skating and you always think, oh, it looks so easy. And then somebody's on their backside across the ice and you go, oh, yeah, actually, it's not that easy. And just occasionally, when you have a crash, you remember how close to the edge the performance is.
Friedrich up top waiting.
Well, this is Torsten Margis.
Yeah, that's Torsten, that's right.
But no longer with Francesco Friedrich, because this is Hansi Lochner's team.
Yeah, he's with the...
Yeah. So a big change. I mean, that's... He and Friedrich have been together for a decade plus.
Came and visited us in Lake Placid in the summer a year ago with his beautiful wife and 2 children. He was on a trip across North America in a van, and he went to every Bob track in Park City, in Whistler, Calgary, because all those little tracks he competed on, he wanted to see them in the summer. He went to the Grand Canyon. He went to a few other places too, but, you know, that was pretty cool when he came.
What a holiday. Yeah, these guys are not just knuckleheads who push sleds. They are bright, intelligent people, despite what they do for fun. And Torsten, one of the best. And he's fitted into this Lochner crew really well. He's a very chilled, relaxed guy, thinks a lot about what he's doing, and he's an absolute man-mountain and a real powerhouse.
There's no guarantees on the Olympic team, him and another guy. There's a couple points that they have to hit for, you know, but
from Hansi's regular 4-man crew last year, only Georg Fleischauer is still healthy. So it's been an absolute blessing to have Torsten come and say, hey, do you need a brakeman? Because the answer was, yeah, we really do. There is Hansi, yesterday's runaway winner in the men's competition. Not by the distance that Lauren Nolte ran away from everybody this morning, but he really looked at home, and I talked to him after. He said, yeah, this track just flows. He said, I just love this place.
Well, he made it flow pretty easy yesterday, that's for sure.
Of course, we're talking him up now.
Looks like it's track cleared.
Yeah, standard 5-minute hold, so they'll be given their 2-minute warning. The runners will go onto the ice, and then at 1 minute, it'll be laid into the start grooves. So everybody keeping their warm weather clothing on. In the sunshine, it's okay. In the shade, you're feeling every one of those -3, 4, 5 degrees on the ice.
So a little interruption of the way they prepare with this delay.
We saw how little it phased Hansi. He was around the back of the billboard there, helmet off, smiling and joking with everybody.
He's a joker in himself. You know, he's never see him when he's not smiling. I think his parents were here, or at least his father was.
Yeah.
I heard that from the Joachim who we're talking to. But quite a character.
Yes, he is. All right, so getting ready to restart the heat. Johannes Lochner next up, the 4th of our 31 sleds, yesterday's 2-man race winner. At 2, Torsten Margis. At 3, Jörn Wenzel, who did a handful of races last season. And Georg Fleischauer, the man at 4. Big Georg was on the 2-man sled yesterday. So they already have 1 gold in their pockets from this Olympic track.
I would think with the 485 start by the Latvians, a lot of young talent in that team, a lot of experience, these guys could get into the high 70s.
I think they'll be definitely aiming for that. That's the first time in race action for this crew together. Torsten Margis ended up migrating around Friedrich's sled to sit at 2 right behind the driver. That's sort of where their bodies work best. And that's where they've started off here. All right, start record, 485 from the Latvian Rainos Grantins and his team. 479, spot on, John Morgan.
Well, Now let's see what he does up here in this slippery part of the track.
This does kind of remind me a little of the 4 S's at the beginning of the Koenigsegg track, and he comes out of there nice and straight.
600s to 3300s in the first 300 meters, half second. Remember that 54 second clock I talked about? We might see that today.
100 clicks already, 60 miles an hour, 120, 75 miles an hour. These things are really packing on the speed.
Flying.
Unbelievable, straight as an arrow.
We're getting close to 54 seconds here. Listen to this.
Into a Revo and across the line, 54.75.
We might be talking 53 at the Olympics.
Wow.
Wow. There's a statement run, and there's that run. Wow.
That looked like Lauren Alter in the first heat of the women's race. It looked like he's been doing this track for years.
He's probably got 10 trips, 12 trips in the 4-man.
Yeah.
And did we see a mistake? Did we see him hit any place? Look at that.
That's out of
Come off that
K2.
curve.
Yeah,
That's about everybody does that.
He'll tidy that up.
You see the runners, checking the runners there.
Yeah.
Oh, the big smile. I think he sleeps with that smile.
I think he sleeps with this track. He's made friends with this place in a big hurry. For Switzerland, Timo Rohner. Behind him, he's got Leandros Manganas, Tim Annan, and Matteo Herbsberger. Tim Annan on the back of the sled in the 2-man yesterday. They finished tied for 17th, of course. Rohner and Annan's dads, both landmark drivers 20 years ago in the Swiss program.
And his sister competed this morning in Women's World Cup.
Yeah.
Bobsled, so great sliding family. There's a lot of them out here.
494, that's not a bad start. Rohner is definitely a better driver than he is a pusher. That was smooth.
And this is one of those longer tracks. As we've seen people find time at the bottom part of this track.
Got it wrong going into the labyrinth. Big 4-man skid, takes a lot out of the sled.
That's a little arrow up there at the end of 4.
Wow! Oh, we saw a couple of late exits there in 2-man, and I thought they'd get away with this only because the lack of weight of bodies in the sled. It ain't the same in a 4-man. Lino K2 is a big danger point.
Doing bad, top 3, decent
skid.
speed. Still got late there though.
Yeah.
Late there, he still got a chance, second.
That's a good run at the bottom end.
Not bad. He had the 3rd best start, 2nd best overall.
I bet he's got a heart rate of about 200 after that near miss in K2.
He was 8th in World Cup points last year. He had a 6th place finish in Lillehammer was his best, and maybe he'll better that today.
He had a solid season. He definitely did.
Watch
this is
these
Lino
pictures.
K2. Look at this.
Yeah,
He's hauling it off.
This.
But the other shot, watch the runners come away from the ice here.
Whoa.
Look, clear air.
Airborne on the back.
Boy,
the articulation on that sled was maxed out, but look how straight he comes. He didn't panic.
the guys in the back, they're weightless at that stage, just praying it comes down on the runners.
They knew it too.
Okay, exciting times. Johannes Lochner leads. Great friend Brad Hall with Alex Cartagena, Leon Greenwood, and Greg Cackett. Brad finished 6th in yesterday's race. 487, decent getaway.
Start. 3rd in World Cup points last year. He won twice, which was a breakout season for him. Yeah. Only off the podium in Altenburg last year of all the season races.
Beat the Germans in Winterberg, the most German of all German tracks. Big skid there, though, in the labyrinth. Out of Bandion.
2nd best speed. Those speed traps are great to keep track of. Pretty good exit there. Hard hit, though. Checking the runners. Looks like he tapped something.
Into Antelau.
Best speed, they're saying there.
Out of Cristallo. How close is he going to be?
Another bump. 4/10. This is 2nd place, but 5/10 back. Probably 5/10 back when we're done here. 45.
2nd place at the moment is 8/10 behind Hansi Lochner.
56.
Yeah, half a second back. Well, again, has all the looks of the women's race.
Well, got beat by 800s at the start, which means 2,400, so still lost 30 hundredths driving down the track. But Lochner did some magic in the first 4 curves.
Yeah,
he was up 35 hundredths right off the bat.
See that
Here,
big steer there.
That was a loud hit, though, that time. Look at his runners.
Yeah.
Checking the runners there.
And still skidding.
Yeah. Back end, look at the spray come up.
Yeah, this is into Cristallo. Into Antelau, beg your pardon. So, plenty to think about. This is what this is about. Yes, it's a World Cup race, but really, it is just data downloading for the games. So, yesterday's silver medalist Francesco Friedrich with Matthias Sommer, Alexander Schuller, who was on the 2-man sled, and Felix Straub, who's becoming their regular 4-man brakeman on the back handles. Straub new to the team last year, but has fitted in really well.
477. Let's see if he's got a 5-10 hundredths lead at this next clock. Lochner really figured it out up top. He's only got an 800ths lead.
Little skid on the wrong side out of Labyrinth 1 into Labyrinth 2. Down here into Belvedere and Bandion.
Only 8 to 8. So he won 3 times last year. He had 4 seconds.
Whoa. Huge skid down into Antelau.
Lochner did not do that. We'll see how much it cost him.
Rocket.
He's behind a big skid.
Huge skid out of the chicane.
I thought these 4-mans would be going straighter than this. Wow.
Takes a lot to get it sideways, takes even more to get it back, but he's within 2 tenths.
The greatest that ever lived in our sport just had some issues coming down the track.
Just saw Adam Amour watching. No, that wasn't Adam Amour, that was his brother watching from the sidelines.
Look at these pictures.
Boy,
he really steered it hard. What do you call it when they
hauled it? Robin Hooding.
It. You don't see that out of a German too often. Wow.
He has not clicked with this track. Now, that does not mean he will not click with this track. It just means...
Look at that skid.
Yeah. That's maximum steering.
80 mile an hour speed right there, skidding across the ice, friction. Boy. Martin, I really thought these sleds would be going straighter. I really said,
you thought it was going to be a procession.
The 4-mans are going to go straighter.
Not.
But I think
not a bit. Boy, this track's going to be fun, isn't it? Okay, so Mickey Vogt for Switzerland. Dominic Hufschmidt, Amadou David Ndaye, who joined the team last year, and Andy Haas on the back. Andy was on the back of the 4-man sled. And, of course, we send our very best thoughts to the recovering Sandro Mikkel. Sandro, part of the team in the build-up to the season. In and down. 486, that's a good start.
Pretty good velocity, good load, typical Swiss precision timing, Swiss precision start times.
Nice looping height in Verzi, and now excellent out of Cento.
That's not bad, only 12 down, that's not going to help. Only 12 down, as he stops, keeps it at 16 or 18 here. 21, fourth best speed.
Well, he was 100th quicker than Brad Hall at the start. Brad's in 3rd place at the moment, and that's kind of where Mickey Vogt is, I think, and that's not a great straight either.
A couple hits there.
Only the 5th best speed.
Watch him here. Good velocity there, but he's half second down.
Swiss developing their own 2-man sleds, but here with a BTC 4-man. And across the line, 6 tenths back in 4th. So how far behind Brad Hall? Okay, 700s, 6 to 5. No, that's 500s back, isn't it? My subtraction's not the greatest.
The speed, though, the speed trap, he was almost a full kilometer down to Brad Hall. And, kilometer 20 down to the leader, Lochner. Yes, it's about equipment. Yes, it's about start time. On this track, it's about driving.
It is about driving, isn't it?
We're really seeing some epic pictures here that's teaching us, as commentators, what the track has to offer. And
they're learning for the games, John. We're learning for the games.
Every picture tells a story here.
Yep, absolutely. Well, there is another picture. Sandro Mikkel on the helmets of the boys. Now then, what about Italy? This, of course, is the games of games for all Italian winter sport athletes. Patrick Baumgartner with Eric Fantazzini, Rob Messier, who was on the two-man, and Lorenzo Bellotti. That's the crew. They finished 7th yesterday, Patrick and Rob Messier. Simone Bertazzo, last man to win a two-man World Cup race on this track. He's the coach. 482.
Decent start by Mr. Baumgartner, who won the Junior Winter Olympic title in Innsbruck, was it? 2012. The former Alpine skier who the Italians have put a lot of effort on his success, potential success. He's got the control in his hands. Decent start time.
Last man to win a four-man World Cup race on the old track in Cortina, by the way. Also here, also coaching, Germany's Matthias Höpfner.
Last man to win the two-man race was Pierre Luters. He's coaching here too. 35's not bad.
Top 3 run.
Yeah, speed. He's been very smooth.
This is good.
He hasn't had any skids, and I don't want to jinx him, but he hasn't. That's a good run down the track, but 5th.
Slipped away in the final couple of corners.
Lost some time.
Yeah, brand new Valna sled.
But he's only 600ths out of the bronze. He's only 600ths back.
Hannes Valner built a bunch of new sleds this summer after not making any for a couple of years. Now helping
the runner tips here. Now let's see if he checks his runners here. Let's see if he checks the runners like we saw the Germans do. Yeah, little check there. Pretty good. Looks like he's on the wrong side of that straightaway.
Yeah, he was.
I think he's got to be in the middle or on the side, our left, his right.
Yeah, over right, going into Antelau.
Look how low he is. I mean, he's a tall guy. His eyes are barely above that cowling.
Yeah, you've got to be like a Florida grandmother, barely looking above the wheel. Now then, Adam Amor. We saw him watching Francesco Friedrich's run, Joshua Tascher, Benedikt Hertel, and Lawrence Costa Lawrence on the back.
Great start.
Yeah.
4th in World Cup points last year. He had 1 podium all year in Winterberg. That was the time that Lochner did not get on the podium.
Yeah.
And that's the event where Brad Hall won. Only 400s back. That's pretty good.
That's a really good run. He's turning into such a good driver, and he's a real powerhouse at the front of the sled as well.
If he keeps this pace up, we got another 1, 2, 3 German leaderboard, like we saw yesterday in the two-man. Like we saw in the World Championships. Well, no, last year, Brad Hall got in there. Only 1,600s back. This is flying.
Really is. 3rd place Brad Hall is 5,600s back. At the moment, he's challenging Francesco Friedrich for 2nd spot. Doesn't quite have the speed, maybe.
3,500s back. 28.
So a 10th behind Friedrich. You can give that away in an instant. There's his two-man brakeman, Alexander Schaller, not Alexander Schuller, who is the two-man brakeman for Francesco Friedrich. Well, that's a good opening run from Adam Amor. Still really learning his craft, 2 years in the World Cup.
I think he'll be very happy when these other 2 German studs retire.
Well, I think the Germans will be very happy that they've got him already at this level.
Yeah, look at that dive out of there. There was a skid.
Yep.
He looked really high in that exit.
That's corner 2, Verzi, and this is turn 3, Cento he was going into. That 2-3 transition, you're looking for a graveyard of time. There it is. Johannes Lochner, Francesco Friedrich, Adam Amor, the top 3 from Brad Hall, Mickey Vogt and Patrick Baumgartner. 10 down, 21 sleds to go here. First heat of the opening four-man bobsleigh race of the season, Cortina d'Ampezzo. Kim Jin-soo, what a day he had yesterday in the two-man. Started last in the field, ended up in 4th
Look at
place.
this!
477.
Boy, have the Koreans come to play. Those were awesome starts yesterday.
Yeah.
He had 1 bad heat, 1 good heat. He went from like 11th to 4th.
Yeah.
Rough transitions there. That's in that section of the track that challenges everybody except for Lochner.
3rd best speed, just 100th off the leader.
Still got a chance if he keeps clean down here. That was a good exit there. Didn't even tap. 3rd best speed.
Tiny little skid, Antelau into Cristallo.
He's got a chance to catch up to one of these German sleds.
Good exit.
19.
This is a top 3 run from the Korean.
Potential. Speed.
Skid.
Watch out.
And late. Across the line, fourth place, ahead of Brad Hall and Mickey
Still,
Vogt.
great run.
That was an excellent drive from Kim Jin-soo.
This is a young athlete that's making a statement.
And he's cursing himself for that late exit. That could have been a top 3. He's a 10th out of the medals.
Look at that climb in there. This is part of the track we're calling dream snatcher, because it just snatches your time away.
Yeah.
That looked like a weird exit there.
It was, yeah. Corner 1, he was too high. Corner 2 and 3
Look at
didn't
this.
work.
This is airborne. Look at the articulation split.
That's in Ampezzo, climbing steep uphill to the finish. Yeah, he's annoyed with that. I think came close to crashing it there, actually, but still.
That was impressive.
When was the last Korean World Cup 4-man podium? We might need to know that later. Meanwhile, Jacob's calendar of Latvia. He's got Edgar Zungas, who was on the back of the 2-man sled of runners Grantins yesterday. Mats Magnus and Maris Klaver are the other 2 guys in the crew.
9th in World Cup points last year. His best finish, 6th in Altenburg. Great start. Anytime you get into the low 80s.
500s off the start record.
Yeah. Okay, let's see what he does. Clean so far. Ooh, as soon as I said that, Mark, commentator's jinx. He nicked off the roof.
All right, nice out of Belvedere Bandion and through K2 will bring some speed. Ooh,
that looks a little late. You see him check the runners.
Very skinny down
Ooh,
to
watch out here.
Ampezzo.
Watch out. Watch out. He hit on the take on. He got away with that.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to get pushed over the middle of the curve.
Cristallo's about the only corner you'll survive because it's so long, 270 degrees. You've got time to rescue it. Across the line, 11th place. Well, a promising start, but a couple of major flaws. 1 to 2 to 3.
But still, the 5th best start. When you got the 5th best start, you should hope to place 5th or 4th or 5th.
Yeah.
He finished 11th, but that's experience. Oh, look how high he is there.
Yeah.
Snap. You saw the head snapping back and forth. That's energy in the wrong direction. Look at this here. Watch the rudder tips. Watch the rudder tips.
Yeah, hauling it off K2.
Yeah, back ends in a skid.
Yeah.
Here, another crossover. He hits before.
Yeah.
This is where he was going to get pushed in the middle.
Yeah.
And then maybe roll in the curve.
Yeah, that's Antelau into Cristallo. Haven't seen that happen. I mean, sure it has, but haven't seen it in a race yet. Yeah, if that had been a shorter corner, he'd have been gone. Now then, Cedric Follador for Switzerland. Nicola Mariani, Omar Fergula, and Mario Eberhardt on the back of the sled.
Had some good times in training.
8th in the 2-man as well.
His 6th in World Cup points last year. His best finish on his home track in St. Moritz, 4th. Okay, he's up there in the lip, but skid. 10th best start time. But he's been coming on every year, Martin. You know, this is a good Swiss pilot.
You remember the track in Pyeongchang at the games who were saying, corner 2 is everything. You win or lose in corner 2. This track's got 3 corner 2s. Corner 1, corner 2, corner 3.
And they've got a few graveyards down below, too.
Yeah, they do. Antelau, Cristallo. This long, omega-shaped corner down
Good
through the
speed.
labyrinth.
Good. This is what he did in training. He had some great speeds in the bottom part of the track. He could move up into the 8th, 7th position.
Yep. 7th or 6th, where is he?
874. He's, that's...
Okay, just ahead of teammate Timo Rona and behind Patrick Baumgartner. 1200s back from Baumgartner. It hasn't registered on our time. Yeah, it hasn't registered on the timing screen, but it is there. So our screen's just going to take a little moment to catch up. Yeah, this is Verzi, corner 2. Boom, up in the woodwork. He's on the wrong side going into 3. Has to wrestle it off, and then he's low coming
back
out
end
of
there.
the
Back end is just skidding. Front end's going one way. The back end's going the other.
He had no choice. He had to save it there and sacrifice the time.
And here,
down here, this is the exit of Ampezzo, heading uphill into Arrivo. Yep, work to do for everybody. Follador's not in a field of one. Now, what about Frank Del Duca with Josh Williamson, Boone Niederhofer, and Hakeem Abdul-Sabur? This is packed with fast-moving muscle. Top 5 finish yesterday for Frankie. All 3 women's sleds were in the top 6 in the women's race for the USA, and 2 were on the podium today.
47. Charlie Volker is regular brakeman, still got a concussion protocol, so Sabor is in for him. It's a brand new Stampfer sled.
Again, Little Rocky out of Primo Labyrinthi. This 3-corner complex.
Wrong side of the straightaway there, and that caused him to be late there.
Belvedere into Bandion is not the place where you want to be wrong. That's where we saw the crash.
Some issues there. Late, a lot of steering there too. Watch out! Boy, that's a hard hit.
Yeah, exit Antelau into Cristallo.
Still top 8 with all of these mistakes.
Not for long.
Yeah.
It'll catch up with you.
He's already fallen to 12th.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, that lack of speed is going to absolutely find you across the line.
Full second back.
Not helped by the brakeman sitting up before they get there. There's Josh Williamson at 2 popping up. We saw that in the 2-man race yesterday. Going down through the chicane. Somebody sitting up going, are we there yet? No, we're not.
There was... His sled was all over the track.
Yeah. That was
look how close he was there to the,
to the
wood. Look at the back end here. Look at how much steering he had to do there to get off the curve. Look at his runners. Look at his runners. You're talking about carving ice.
Yeah. Well, he knew there.
He didn't do that.
They were going to crash off that curve. Yeah.
That wasn't it. Got to be better. But thank you, Phil, for the sled. We really appreciate it. We're going to do better next time.
Well, brand new sled, but that was a run from training that didn't need to appear in the race. Next up, Chris Horn with Karsten Vissering, Hunter Powell, who was on the 2-man sled yesterday, and Caleb Furnell. So some new names to the US program in the back of this sled.
Scheimer says these guys could go low 80s. Very
well, Chris Horn, the 2-man and 4-man push world champion in Lake Placid, 483.
Chris had a few challenges in the 2-man competition yesterday. He definitely gets a roof award. He hit more roofs than anybody.
This is tidier.
And this is his World Cup debut with 4-man bobsled.
Yep.
He did a 2-man in St. Moritz a few years ago. Of course, yesterday.
This is a nice-looking run, well controlled.
Don't jinx him, Martin.
No, I'm not. He is doing well.
Wow!
Okay, he was.
Well, you heard it, too. You heard the noise of the sled. Got through there much better than his teammate. Still hanging in there.
Still had that hit,
Ninth
though.
best speed.
Top 8. 7th place start. Is he going to be 7th, 8th, 9th? Across the line in 9th place. So just behind Timo Rona. Let's see if we can get our screen to update itself at some stage. But for the moment, yeah, boys, this is one of the things brakemen need to be very careful about where they actually use the brakes.
Look at the same thing with the runner tips there that his teammate Frank Del Duca did. Laid into the curve and had to do the Robin Hood to get it off. But, boy, 2 identical Stampfer sleds the Americans are driving.
All right, Chris Horn with plenty to think about before the second heat. At least now he knows how the ice is driving. And everybody else still to come has yet to find that out. 15 down out of 31 sleds. We're at the midpoint now with candidates Pat Norton, Toby Ade, who was on the 2-man, Chris Homestead, and Mike Evelyn. Mike Evelyn was with Taylor Austin, I think, yesterday in the 2-man.
Pat was 12th in World Cup points last year. His best 6th in Innsbruck. He missed the Altenburg race, but you know, he's a veteran slider.
He and his wife had their 2nd child just pre-season. He had to take 3 or 4 days out from training before coming to Europe so that he could be there for the baby to be born. 4200's back. Speed is decent.
Ooh, wrong side. That's the same thing the Americans did.
And again, wrong side coming down here into Antelau. Misses the bump into Cristallo. That's good news.
That's late. And And then he bangs the walls. 86 back, top 10 maybe though. Not a bad result here. Ooh, late there, and he drives it into the wall.
Whoa,
that's going to cost him.
Yeah.
That's a steep uphill there, Mark.
Yeah.
TV doesn't do it justice. That's the steepest uphill around that corner section that I've ever seen on any track. You make a mistake going uphill in a gravity sport, not good.
Well, it's like the older Evo here, which was a 5G corner that went from flat to near vertical on the exit. So 55.95, 15th place in the field.
A little low there compared to the other runner, Mark's steering, and then watch what happens here. Comes off and bangs it into that wall. Doesn't seem like much, but boy, and then he goes up onto the roof in the next curve.
All right, so next up, Canada's Taylor Austin finished in 16th place in the two-man yesterday. So Shaq Murray-Lawrence was on his two-man sled, Mark Zanet and Johan Eskrik Parkinson, who joined the crew last year. In the white beanie there, you can see Lyndon Rush. Cripps will be there as well at the top, the Olympic two-man champion from Pyeongchang. Great looking livery on this sled. Just look at that phenomenal wrap. So let's hope it's nice and straight by the time they get it off the bottom and put it on the truck tonight.
Pretty smooth up here so far.
494, 13th best start, but keeping the speed on board.
Yeah.
Nicely out of Labyrinth 1.
16th in World Cup points last year, 14th in Lillehammer was his best finish.
And now look at the speed. There's the reward of
Good
being
speed.
clean up top.
This is some of the better speed we've seen in the last 5-6 sleds, and boy, was airborne almost there.
So drops from 6th to 9th on the splits.
Still got some decent speed.
Still has
Set up
decent
there.
speed. This is a good looking run from Taylor Austin.
Yes, it is. See if you can hold it down here in the bottom. There's still
Up
great.
to 8th place.
Right here is where it gets steep going uphill. You cannot have any variance. Look at him drift a
Look
little
at
bit.
that, across the
That's
line.
a good run.
8th place, that's an excellent
The
run.
Canadians will take that. He's never finished better than 14th in a World Cup race. He set himself up for the best finish. Personal bests, Martin. It's not about winning trophies and medals. Personal bests for all these athletes.
And learning.
Look at this. Look at the back end there. What pictures?
Yeah.
And here, look at him drive. Look at the rudder tips. That's like the Americans had to steer hard.
This is the same corner. Look at the way the corner just rolls down the hill there.
Yeah, TV doesn't do the
It's a real corkscrew turn, like a fighter peeling out of formation. One more. And they have done a few this week. 3 a day, every other day. That's a lot of runs. Now, Sun Kai-chi with Chang Jin, Shi Yao Long, and An Tai behind him. Tai was on the two-man sled yesterday. They finished tied for 14th place. And that was a dead heat with, trying to remember who else was 14th. It might have been the Romanians, but he had a decent first day.
Good start.
Yeah, that's an excellent
Great start. The Chinese have come to play like the Koreans. You know, I was watching the Koreans or the Chinese walk around the venue. I haven't been around much. A couple of years ago, I noticed they still looked uncomfortable in the venue. This week, they walk around here like they've been in the sport for a long time.
Yep, they're very comfortable with it. Sun Kai-chi just 100th off the leader at the start, only 1800ths back at the midway point. This is a really good run.
Yeah.
Big skid into K5 and a big skid out. So he'll drop down towards the tail of the top 10.
13th best speed. Rest of the way down. That's a little bit of a brush there. Well, that's a double take there. That'll cost him. Now the uphill section of the track. That's good there.
All right.
14th.
Yeah, 8th down to 14th place. He was actually the 4th fastest starter. So couldn't carry the speed all the way down. But that means there's lots to tidy up in the second heat. He could move up. With that start, 4.80, Hansi Lochner only started 4.79. But look here, pulls it down far too early into K2. Almost rolled it on, and then he's having to just haul it off the corner.
There's the skid. That's the result of coming off late.
And this is the only notifiable straight line on the track. Yeah, there you go. It's all about training. It's all about learning.
Well, Martin, I thought that this four-man sledge would come straight down the track. I guess I was wrong.
If it's that easy, I'd be doing it. Romania, Mihai Tentea, it was them who were tied for 14th with Sun Kai-Chi yesterday. Constantin Dinescu joins Mihai Pacianu in the middle of the sled. Georg Jordash, the two-man brakeman, on the back.
14th in World Cup points, his best finish, 14th at Winterbergen Eagles last year. But Martin, we always say this kid can drive. If he had a start time, probably an equal piece of equipment, I think he could challenge.
494 matches both Canadians in the start. Oh, hits the wood hard.
He gets the Wood Award so far. That's the hardest hit we've seen yet.
That's a real
Parachute.
17th. The lowest speed just about that we've seen so far.
Well, it's pretty tough. You can't gain that on the way down. I mean, in bobsledding, you can't gain time on the way down. You can only prevent yourself from losing time. Straight there, though.
Yep. Yeah, he'll be cursing himself all the way back up in the truck for that 3-4 combination. Just wallop the woodwork. Just as well, it's new and nice and strong. 55.84. All right, not the greatest run to 17th off the 14th best start. He is ahead of Pat Norton, who started 4.94 as well. Not too far behind Frank Del Duca. What's that? 800s behind, 1200s behind Del Duca. And Giorgetto Popescu, who was driving in
Look
the
at
mono.
this.
And the two
Bang.
helping out. Yeah.
That's why they put lips in these curves.
Yeah.
Look at him slide down.
In the 50s, he'd just gone straight off into the trees there, wouldn't he?
Look at the coach.
Yeah, Julian Pacianu, the head coach on the left. That's the moment that he hit. Ay, ay, ay. Coaches are so helpless. It's like you let the fledglings fly and there's nothing you can do. Now, for Austria, Jakob Mandelbauer with Dominik Hanschitz, Daniel Berchler and Diem Nicol-Bardi on the sled. Third season of World Cup racing for Mandelbauer. Missed the cut in the two-man yesterday.
18th in World Cup points last season. Missed a couple events, but he did have a top 10, a 9th in St. Moritz. Pretty smooth right there in those challenging top part of the track.
Yep.
2400s isn't bad, and that's going to hurt.
Another new Wallner sled. Hannes Wallner and Wolfgang Stampfer, the Austrian coach, working together to develop these sleds.
Hard there, smooth.
Whoa!
You hear the sound of the sled there?
Yeah.
Because that was
Rattling, because it was in free fall.
It was challenged.
Yeah.
Skidding twice, up and down here.
He's hanging on here, isn't he? This is not speed, this is survival at the moment. Those couple of moments, he's just trying to make sure they get down without the use of their helmets. 55.92. Stampfer on the right, Benny Meyer on the left. Wolfgang Stampfer, one of the great sled whisperers. He just knows things about how they work best.
He built 6, I think, 4-mans and 9 2-mans this year.
Yeah.
Splintered through the field. Look at these lines. A lot of bounce. I see a lot of his crew behind him, too, where you shouldn't.
Yeah.
Look at that skid going into the take-on of the curve. Look how high he is. He's way above the runner lines.
Yeah.
That means that's double steering to get off that curve then.
Yep. That was not one for the film reel. Johannes Lochner, Francesco Frugig, Adam O'Moore, the leaders. 20 sleds down, 11 to go. So, 31 sleds, only 20 go through. 1 in 3 does not get a second heat. And for everyone who starts outside the top 20, it's go fast or go home. And that starts with Jeff Gabois. Quentin Arello behind him, Ryan Rager and Bryce Cheek. Bryce, like the others, new to the World Cup, started on the two-man sled with Jeff.
Some good athletes on the sled here behind Jeff. Anything below a 90, 92. The boy, a little bit of a skid there, too, coming out of the blocks there.
Yeah.
Jeff seems to be sitting way up in this sled. Way up high. His head's way up. Not a bad exit there. Now he's got to find some speed.
Out of the labyrinth, through Belvedere, bandy on. And then this then leads you
Alongside
into
there, that's
K2. Antelau and Cristallo, smooth transition. Didn't hit the hammer like his two teammates. Sideways, going the wrong way down into Tofana. Climbing through Ampezzo. And then the right-hander, even steeper uphill, Arrivo.
Oh, he hits before the finish. Hit before the finish curve. Uphill, going uphill, hitting before the finish.
It's a video he won't want to watch again, but
First guy to do that.
20th place now, 21 sleds down. Don't forget, Mattia Variolo of Italy crashed, and so is extremely unlikely to feature again. I don't think they crossed the finish line, so he won't have got a time. But Gadbois again, turning it too early in K2, hauling it around.
Boy, the whole back end of the sled was skidding and scraping ice. He's really high, though. He's one of the highest heads we've seen above the cowling.
Right, so Jeff Gadbois in the drop zone. Anybody goes quicker, he's the first out. Matej Buchenek for the Czech Republic. Michal Dobeš behind him, joined by Ondřej Rapp and Antonin Vijas. Dobeš was on the back of the two-man sled yesterday when they finished 24th, didn't make the cut. Can they make the four-man? 497, slower than Gadbois and the Americans we've just seen. So he needs to be clean here.
Best finish last year was an 11th in Altenburg, which is always like the home track for them. Ooh, he got right up there on the lip, the wood. Now the question is how much does the ice go away this late in the heat, Martin?
Well, that's going to be interesting. It's pretty cold today as well. The ice temperature -4, 5 at the start of the race. We've seen it hold up supremely well all the way through a long day of skeleton on Friday. And the women in the two-man yesterday.
Roman Heinrich came from like 31st, finished like 14th, ended up finishing like 11th. So
yeah, it's been a really good track in terms of how well it's performed, how well it's held up.
That wasn't bad.
55.92, 18th place. That means no second heat for Jeff Gadbois. Buchenek is in at the moment. So we'll wait and see. Pat Norton of Canada now on the bubble, and there is a tie for 18th, Buchenek and Jakob Mandelbauer of Austria.
There's also a tie for 15th.
Oh, God, yeah, I didn't spot that. Frank Del Duca and Jakob's calendar. So no second heat for Jeff Gadbois, but at the moment, the Czechs are in. A lot of sleds still to go.
Pretty couple good sleds coming up, too.
Yeah, some real danger men. Li Chun-Jan might be among them. Finished 19th in the two-man yesterday. He is more of a four-man driver. Zhang Miaoyan, Ye Jilong and Chen Heng, his regular crew from last season, reunited.
13th in World Cup points. Best finish, 10th in Wittenberg. He did miss one race in the season last year.
Now, the battle within the battle, Sun Kai-chi is 14th, just saying.
Yeah, this
486.
Yeah, so this should definitely be a top 15 sled here. Maybe even closer to the top 10.
Now, he started 600 slower than Sun's crew. 10th best start, but
good. That wasn't bad. A little bit of a skid.
Seen a lot worse.
Yes, we have. 13th at the moment.
Belvedere bandy on.
Okay, now we get into the speed part of the track. They're going about 72, 73 here. Accelerating to 84, 85.
Yeah, their transponder's not working. We're not getting the speeds, but you can see the lines for yourself. It's a pretty clean run, but he's losing ground. His teammate 14th,
Still
is he
in the
going to
top
be
20.
in the 20?
18, he's close. He should do it.
Close
He does.
and close enough. That is now a three-way tie for 18th
place.
So either all three of them get bumped out, or we're going to have 22 sleds in the top 20.
I'm sure we've seen that before.
We have seen it before. 55.92. Not only is he tied, but he's tied with the sled that went immediately before him, Matej Buchenek. So
Look at the articulation stretch there. That's the way the sled walks on and off the curves. And when you see a hole in the sled like that, it means the articulation is maxed out on the exit of a curve.
Yep. So Lee Chun-jan tied for 18th. Still in the drop zone then. Well, in fact, these three are in the drop zone now because he's just pushed out Pat Norton of Canada. So 3 sleds in the drop zone. We get to Frenchman Roman Heinrich with Lionel Lefebvre, Antoine Rieu, who's pushed for Boris Van in Monaco for the last few years. Couldn't get a Monegasque passport, so he's back with the French. And Dorian Hauteville, Big Dorian on the back sled. And like Roman Heinrich, Dorian had retired from bobsled, and then Heinrich put the band back together.
He told me yesterday, he says, I came back because I love the sport. That's after they spent about half hour in the leader's box. They went for, they moved up like 5 sleds yesterday.
Well, he loves the sport, plus the big attraction of a home Olympic
Games.
2030 in the French Alps, and it will be sliding in La Plagne.
Heinrich is an engineer by trade, right?
Look at the speed, 7th best speed. He always had good driving hands. 9th at the start, bringing it back towards
Look at the
the
speed,
top 10.
top 3 speed.
Now he's going to go in, and 3 are going to get fired out here.
Ooh, tap there, 59. He's still in there.
Still got
Top
speed.
12 should be top 13 at least.
New dad, of course.
Ooh, he was a little late there, got away with it.
13th.
8400's back.
So he was on baby duties this morning while his partner was sliding in the women's race.
If I told you he was tied, would you believe it?
Yeah.
Tied with the Latvians.
All right, tied with our first track record holder, Renas Grantins. So there's opposite ends of the experience scale. Roman Heinrich was probably sliding when Grantins was still in short trousers.
Pretty good lines all the way down the track. I mean, we've seen no one's come down the middle of the track except for that guy at the top of the leaderboard. But
long skid there into Antelau. That takes a lot of speed out the sled. That stopped him climbing higher up. Now, what about Dave Vesselink with Jelen Frančiks, Janko Frančiks, the older of the brothers, and Timur Costa on the back. They had a pretty decent day yesterday with Jelen on the back of the 2-man, finished tied for 17th.
This guy's had a crash in training.
Right, our 3-way tie is now for 19th. So if they are
decent start.
18th, yeah, 9th best
velocity,
start.
18th best velocity though. So that relates to they had a top 10 start, but an 18th best velocity. That's how the team gets in the sled. Get in and getting down, and there is we've seen a lot of those lines.
Yep.
Pretty good so far. 11th, 18th best speed though. Now if he can
into Bandion, still in the top 12, down to 14th.
That's not too bad, but on the wrong side of the curve, he had to cross over to get onto the take-on, which means you have to steer a little bit.
Slipping away.
Still hanging in there, 16th, 17th best speed. Still got a chance here for sure the top. Got to be the top 20.
Could be a 4-way tie for 19th. No, he's clawing his way back up the order. 55.72, so he is in.
A 3-way tie for 16th place.
Excellent, and we now have a 3-way tie for 20th place as well. Mandelbauer, Lee, and Behunek. And this is Callender, Vesselink, and Del Duca tied for 16th.
No.
We've got a tie for 13th as well.
Now, Martin, you know I love ties and bobsled. You know I love the ties and bobsled.
That's why they're doing it, John.
Yes.
They're doing it for you.
We don't want to go to 1,000th of a second like they do in luge.
We're never going to 1,000th of a second. We'll give away 3 gold medals before we go to 1,000th. Oh, we already have.
That wasn't a bad exit there. He's got a little bit of a remnants of a skid, but that's not bad for the Dutch.
His driving's definitely come on in the last couple of seasons since we've seen him in World Cup. So there's your leaderboard, but our focus is all on the bottom end of the top 20. Next up, Austria's Markus Treichel with Sasha Stepan, Marcus Sammer, and Leo Sares, the new boy in the team. Sammer, known as Oppa, Grandpa.
He's got to have more runs than anybody on all the tracks for the World Cup. He's been around a long time.
We did a little presentation to him in Park City for his 100th World Cup start.
We didn't give him credit for their 478 start, and he's 200s up. Now, Treichel didn't have a great season,
Well,
but he won a silver medal in Altenburg in the last race of the year.
He had a great season going
He got hurt.
and then blew his knee. Yeah, it was absolutely catastrophic. He was challenging for podiums everywhere. It was the season of seasons until it wasn't.
Yeah, he's been around a long time. I think we first saw him in the World Championships in Innsbruck. I think it was 16, 17,
And
16,
he is
15.
back to that good form again. Look at this, top 5 run off the third best
start. Wow!
I'll just say this again. Marcus Treichel, third best start, 5th at the bottom. Okay, well, this is starting to answer some of those questions about is the speed going out of the track?
Yeah, that
this
proves
is
it right there.
what, 26 sled down? No, it ain't. Top 5 run off a top 3 start, 26 4-mans, and it's November.
This is impressive what he's done here.
Yeah.
Of course, he did it at the first 50 meters. And then, you know, we've seen him for a decade, and he's only got a couple podiums. But last year's Altenburg race, that's what he finished the season on with a silver medal, and he's taken it all the way to this event right here.
Yep.
He's got a chance.
Yep. He's doing that thing that Benny Meyer did, which is suddenly everything coalesces and it all works. Jakub Prochaska next up for the Czech Republic. Change at 2 was going to be Sosna Severin, but he and Mikhail Jakobczyk have moved around, and Pavel Sarnecki on the back of the sled. So all right, let's take a look at Jakub Prochaska for Czech Republic. 22nd yesterday, just missed out on the cut in the 2-man race. Lukas Petrikovic, Pavel Jindra, and David Boresh. I'm reading the wrong crew off the timesheets. These are the boys in the Czech sled.
18th best start. Entry into the sled was decent.
But
A little bit of a
losing
skid.
time very early on.
Yeah, but everybody does that in that exit on those top 4 curves.
Problem is, he's already out to 26th position. He's not going to find the speed low down to be able to overhaul half a dozen sleds.
Oh, listen to the noise.
Yeah.
These big runaway sport utilities.
It is a little bit of a runaway train at the moment. He's got to get his hands back.
Whoa! Skidding into the... And it goes right up to the lip. He double takes that curve.
Okay, little bit more under control at the bottom of the track for Jakub Prochaska. Comes across the line, upright, 56.09, but no second heat. 9/10 slower than the run we've just seen from Marcus Treichel, and that's the difference between 5th and 25th.
Yeah, 18th
9/10 of a second, John, 20 sleds.
18th best start, 25th down. Look, he's up there almost in no man's land, and then everybody comes over here and hits. But his skid continues all the way down the straightaway. Friction, not a good strategy in the bobsled sport to be sideways down a straightaway.
This is brutally close. 20 sleds covered by 9/100 of a second. And that's 5th to 25th, so you've got to be within 7/10 of the leader to qualify. Jakub Jarewski then for Poland, finished in 30th place yesterday. This is the crew: Sosna Severin, Mikhail Jakobczyk, and Pavel Sarnecki.
David Kupchak is their coach, longtime Polish driver. You know, they're developing. They got the women's bob.
Yep.
You know, they're out here.
Yeah, 2- and 4-man. They've got monobob, they've got women's bob, they've got skeleton sliders in the women's field as well.
Up there, had a little kiss of the lip. Poland used to have a track up in the mountains. I forget the name of it, natural track back in the 40s. They'd have 30 or 40 sleds up into the 60s in the competitions. Of course, then it was still behind the Iron Curtain. But
I think the prospect of 2 consecutive European Winter Games really kind of helps. Because you know you're going to be racing on tracks that exist and that you'll have a chance to train on.
Well, just think, Königssee, Innsbruck, St. Moritz, Cortina, they're all a couple hours apart from each other.
Yep. Adding this track into the mix is definitely a big bonus for the sliding world. All the history here. As you pointed out, John, the last time an Olympic track was built in a town that had history. It was back in 1980 games, Lake Placid. It's been a long while.
Yeah, well, it's great to go downtown and get in a conversation with a guy at a hotel who says, yes, my grandfather was a bobsleigh. That's what we haven't had the last 11 Winter Olympic Games. That's why this track is so special to the sport.
Yeah. History at every turn. All right, so the Poles will not get a second heat. What about Italy's Alex Vergine? 25th yesterday in the two-man. He's got Riccardo Ragazzi, Jose Obu, and Alexi Atorci Esso. There is the crew.
One event last year, and he finished 23rd. That was in Eagles.
Well, he combined driving in the World Cup and Europe Cup with being a brakeman still as well. So he was doing double duty. Often he'd start a two-man race and then end up pushing a four-man
Push bars, they came in. They're still messing with the push bars through the first curve. Boy, you can see a lot of shoulders back there and everything. Look, you can see the blue shoulders back there. You shouldn't see that at all. And there's not a bad exit skid like almost every single sled we've seen except for the guy leading.
I think these Cortina games coming 4 years too early for Alex Vergine.
Well, it takes a while.
Sure does, especially with these big beasts. Even the very best in the business are made to look kind of okay by this track. 17th best speed, but he is not going to get a second heat. 18th at the start, and it was always going to be requiring big driving from him. 28th across the line, 56.60.
Simone Bertazzo looks on and could only... What do we got to do?
Yeah, well, give him time, give him experience, and give him your knowledge as much as you can. Well, Alex only been driving for a couple of seasons, and
watch the push bars here.
Yeah,
you're still juggling with your hands up there trying to get those push bars down. That's, you know, friction that causes skidding on the ice. This was the driver causing the skid there, but every driver we've seen's had a skid there.
Yeah, all the bodies still moving around behind him in the first couple of corners. Now then, for Bulgaria, Marin Bangiev, who used to compete in skeleton, along with his wife Camilla Breyer. Thomas Breyer, her nephew, is at 2. Nicola Massari at 3. And late change, Liam Purdy on the back of the sled at 4. Now, these guys are not expecting to do the full season. Marin runs the Bobsleigh pub up in La Plagne. So, a very popular venue. Former skeleton slider.
Martin, he's definitely driving the most vintage sled in the competition. We are being told it's a Podar sled.
It is a Podar. It's one of the very last Italian-built Podar sleds.
And the Podar,
83.
if you know anything about the history, Oscar Deandra Podar in the 50s was the one building sleds for the legendary Eugenio Monti. From there, his sons became sled builders. They built over 1,000 sleds in 20 years.
Whoa.
And, you know, the Podar name is the legend of the sport in Cortina.
Yep. And the history of the sled is that he was looking for a sled, and this was in the sled shed in Innsbruck as they were clearing it, so he got it at a bargain price. It's probably not going to be the quickest sled down, and he knows that they're not going to be the most experienced crew.
He'll have
an opportunity to run on the Olympic track.
He'll have this video to show his patrons in his pub back in La Plagne, which will be out in a few years for the Olympic track there. There's great stories from the French of what they're going to do to the track and the start building. And
still slides pretty regularly. He's got a bunch of friends who are firefighters in La Plagne who he slides with at the track. So there you go, Marin Bangiev. Good to see him back in the paddock.
Hey, a vintage car coming down the track, Martin.
Absolutely.
You're a vintage car guy.
Yep.
Hey, come on, the guy made it down. Give him some credit.
Yep.
That sled's got to be 20 years old.
Well, I talked to him and he was saying about his nephew Thomas. I said, what's his background? Oh, he's a guitar player. Okay, right. So it is a group of friends. You know, we've seen it before. Remember when Beat Hefty raced in the World Cup race in St. Moritz with 3 female friends as his crew? There we go. Now then, Andre Torrea, for Romania. 21st yesterday, just missed the cut in the two-man. Kalin Dumitrac, Mihai Kalansea, and Rares Dinka on the back of the sled, who was on the two-man yesterday. Andrzej, in only his, well, if this is a full season, his first full season of driving, so he's got a handful of two-man appearances under his belt, 5:07.
Well, we talked about a little history of the Polish having a great history in the sport back in the 30s and 40s. Romania had that great track, Sinaia. It was open until mid-80s. Our president, Divo Feriani, drove on that track, he said, in the mid-80s. And, you know, the Romanians are here. They're always here. They're always competing in all disciplines.
Yep. They are passionate about their sport. And
the last Olympic medal for Romania, 68, Grenoble. Pantero won the bronze. The last World Championship medal, I think, was in Lake Placid in 69. I was at that event.
16th best as a small boy in short trousers. 16th, 29th best run. And this is not going to get him into the second heat, but more data going into the banks. And of course, one of the things that you get from training is a little bit of iPad video of one corner. One of the things you get from a race is full coverage of every corner of every sled. So the video from these races this week will be scrutinized with forensic intensity by their coaches, trying to learn from everybody how to make yourself better.
Well, Martin, I thought the sleds were going to come right down the middle of the track. Boy, was I wrong.
Well, do you know what? That's not very often. I'm making a note in my diary. John Morgan may not have got it right this time. But the good news is that we have a phenomenally exciting track and a good race on our hands. However, it's Hansi Lochner's race to give away here. He has got a handy margin. 1800ths of a second isn't a lifetime. Francesco Friedrich is always a threat, but it is Lochner who leads. He ran away to two-man gold yesterday. Is he going to double up today? I imagine we're going to see a lot of that smile this year. There's your leaderboard. Lochner, Friedrich, Amor, covered by 3/10. Kim Jin-soo, he could steal a medal. He really could. And Treichels, only 500 behind him.
Both of those guys could challenge.
Brilliant. Brad Hall, Mickey Vogt and the rest will be looking to try and move up. So will everybody else. And don't forget our top 20 go through. Down to 16th place, only one tie, Roman Heinrich and Renas Grantins. And there's another one right behind them for 17th, a three-way tussle. So there's going to be some motion there. Mihai Tentea makes the cut just by the skin of his teeth. But Jakob Mandelbauer, Lee Chun-jan and the rest will all be watching trackside. And our best to Mattia Varioli and his crew. They look to be okay. Hopefully that will be the case. And that's it for the first heat. The final run of the weekend comes up at 1500 local, 1400 GMT. And we will be here in just, 17 minutes with the final heat of the four-man. We'll see you then.